Mantua is about 25 miles southeast of the Kirtland area. In the winter of 1830-31, Joseph Smith visited this site and this home in Mantua, Ohio. This was the home site of Oliver and Rosetta Snow, the parents of Eliza and Lorenzo Snow. Rosetta joins the church in 1831 along with her daughter Leonora. Eliza waits a little while. She is not baptized until April of 1835, and then Lorenzo, her younger brother, is baptized in June of 1836. Eliza R. Snow said, "In the winter of 1830 and 31, Joseph Smith called at my father's home. As he sat warming himself, I scrutinized his face as closely as I could without attracting his attention and decided that his was an honest face. My motto, quote, 'Prove all things and hold fast to that which is good,' unquote, prompted me to investigation as incredulous as I was." Oliver and Rosetta had come to know Sidney Rigdon, who had his Reformed Baptist congregations in this area of Ohio. It's really through Sidney Rigdon, of course, that they become interested in Joseph Smith and the Church of Christ. Eliza R. will later become secretary to the newly organized Relief Society in Nauvoo. Later in 1880, she will become the second general president of the Relief Society of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Eliza actually had acted as the Church Relief Society president previous to 1880, as early as 1867. She traveled around to wards in the Salt Lake area, bringing the local Relief Society presidents up to speed in terms of what the Relief Society should be like based on the early Nauvoo experiences. Lorenzo Snow, of course, would become the 5th president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, serving from 1898 until 1901. In 1838, the Snows left this area and moved to Missouri and then on to Nauvoo.
Welcome to the Oliver Snow home, the childhood home of Lorenzo and Eliza Snow, plus their brothers and sisters. To the best of my knowledge, this is the only childhood home of the Latter-day Saints 19th century presidents. All the rest have either been rebuilt or disappeared or gone. The Snows moved here in 1805 and lived across the street in a cabin. Tradition holds this house is 1815. The Church of Latter-day Saints did a dendrochronology on the floor joists in the basement. They were able to date them when they were all felled 1812, 1813. So we know the house is at least 1815, if not perhaps a little older.
There's a huge, huge maple tree on the front of the street here, and that tree definitely was here when the Snows were here.
The upstairs bedroom was the girls' bedrooms. There's a little eyebrow window that faces east, and it catches the daylight of any given day when the sunlight breaks through in the morning.
The property was originally 65 acres. The Snows actually owned 110 acres on the other side of the street where the log cabin originally was, and 65 acres on this side of the property, so they're quite prosperous farmers. From what research we have done, we do know that Oliver Snow traveled extensively back to New England, and of course as he got older, Lorenzo did most of the farming for the family as the father traveled. And what we have been also told is that Eliza did the books for the family farm.
I suspect the Snows who lived across the street moved here because there's 2 streams that feed the ponds in the back. We take water for granted. You turn on a faucet and you have water. You needed water here. There was access to these 2 spring-fed ponds. The first pioneers coming here, the Native Americans, told them that the one stream that runs from the east to the west always has water in it. The 2 streams are spring-fed that go into the pond that eventually flows down into the Cuyahoga River that flows through Cleveland.
We do know that across the street, not far from here, was Oliver Snow's brother, Franklin, who also came with his family. The family visited back and forth, and there were maple groves straight ahead of us between here and Franklin Snow's house, where all of the families gathered maple syrup. This was a very high-producing maple syrup region.
Eliza wrote a lot of her poetry here. She was one of Ohio's first poetesses. She supposedly did her homework in iambic pentameter and drove her teachers a little bit crazy with it. The historical marker out front notes that she was one of Ohio's first poetesses. Obviously, she was a very bright and extremely well-educated woman.
I think it might have been the second year we were here. We used to invite the missionary girls over from the John Johnson home. They brought one of your hymnals, and so they said, we are going to do a medley of Eliza's songs for you, a cappella, 5-part harmony. So we sat in the parlor, and it was evening. It was a beautiful summer evening, and they sang probably 5 songs, and probably all of us were in tears. Nick and I were in tears. I'm sure they were very, very moved. And if you don't know this, there is pictures of Eliza and Lorenzo in the parlor. We asked your church for pictures so that we could have them in their parlor. And you could feel the spirit of Eliza looking down. We all commented, imagine what she's thinking looking down, having her songs sung in the parlor where she grew up. So that was probably one of those special, really special events that occurred.